The FIA Karting paddock has travelled to a new location for the second direct drive weekend of the 2023 campaign, in a new country. Just over the border from the south of Poland, in the town of Trinec, lies the Steel Ring International Circuit in the Czech Republic, the country that gave us world champion Patrik Hayek. Built in 2017 and one of the prime race circuits for drivers from Eastern Europe, the Steel Ring attracts competitors from neighbouring countries around the region, from Latvia and Lithuania in the north to Slovenia and Croatia in the south, who have made this an essential training ground in their continued development. The OK and Junior classes have rocked up to compete in the second round of the European Championship, and for the first time this year, the FIA Karting Academy Trophy candidates have joined the fray. The Academy gathers drivers from around the world in equal machinery to pursue international competition for the first time, and for the past 13 years has aided drivers to climb the ladder of the sport, and the likes of Charles Leclerc, George Russell and Esteban Ocon have all become Grand Prix winners from their FIA karting journey. With over 200 drivers from all over the world, there is a sense of the unknown heading to Trinec. Nobody has ever raced on this circuit in these karts before, and with the track characterised by a series of elevation changes and a fairly grippy surface, everybody is going to be a little unsure of setup. Tyre degradation has been higher than originally anticipated, with testing limited and the weather making things unpredictable, as the changeable conditions have produced close and dramatic racing through the qualifying heats. But with a new circuit often comes a variance in the running order, as drivers get a chance to shine in fresh and variant scenarios. So what will unfold on this new and exciting arena of European karting? Jindra Peschel will guide us around the circuit he grew up on, down the main straight and leaning into the left-hander before a long climb up through the next two right-handers, then breaking into the pair of hairpins, which drop down in camber and tighten in radius, first to the right and then to the left, where accidents are higher in risk and common in frequency. Then into the next section, a short straight into a tight left hairpin where overtaking is regular, followed by another short straight into a right hairpin, ascending the crest throughout, pushing the tyres and chassis to their extreme limit. Onto the back straight beside the grandstand, and a fast motion into the chicane, keeping the throttle open to drop down the compression. Then heavy on the brakes, approaching a challenging hairpin with a high gradient, followed by a similar hairpin to the right, balancing the power on exit, before accelerating along the short stretch to the next descent, a long flowing right that continues and then tightens to rise back uphill and coax the kart back into the left before tightening up for a relatively fast right exit onto the main straight once more. In the dry it's physical, in the wet it's unpredictable. The ultimate FIA karting challenge. Ever since 2010, drivers from around the world have gathered to compete in the FIA Karting Academy Trophy to represent their nation on the world stage. Over the years, drivers have graduated from this contest to race in Formula E, Le Mans, IndyCar, TCR, Super GT and Formula 1. So it's the perfect stepping stone to future success in motorsport. With 44 nations across 6 continents represented, there's a lot of national pride at stake, and just reaching the final is a victory. Marius Barry-Berg of Norway and Hugo Marti of Spain are on the front row, with Australia's Max Walton in hot pursuit. The two stars from Poland, Wojciech Woda and Klara Kowalczyk, are chasing them for the victory. But it's going to be a tough 21 laps to determine who will triumph at the Steel Ring. Barry-Berg held his advantage at the start, as the Academy drivers kept it calm through the opening few corners of the race. But Max Walton was in no mood to wait around, and he made his move on Hugo Marti halfway round the opening tour. There were battles further back too, as the talented French driver Lisa Biard made her way past New Zealand's Arthur Braun on lap 3, only to lose the position a mere corner later, as Austria's Simon Mayer overtook Denmark's Romeo Haag behind them. Braun was finding it consistently difficult to make progress, and his battle with Britain's Harry Bartle proved to be tough, but rewarding. Ahead of him, the Argentine ace Santino Panetta was able to pass Wojciech Woda, and the Kiwi saw this as an invitation to make his own bid for the position. As he made it work, Bartle saw a gap too, and sadly he collided with Woda, who would retire from the race on the spot. A few laps later, and a light rain shower gave Max Walton his chance to close in on Barry-Berg and challenge for the lead, but it would be tricky to stay ahead. He tried again half a lap later, and with a very small gap on the inside, he was able to make it count, and the Australian was now in the lead of the race. But it was about to become much tougher as the rain was increasing. It was no longer a light shower, and as race director Pasquale Lupoli considered his options, the drivers acquitted themselves admirably given the wet conditions and the slick tyres the drivers were using. As the rain intensified yet further, Braun would fall off the road along with Colombia's Sebastian Garzon as they tried their hardest to stay in touch. The leaders were finding grip tougher than most as they were the first on the scene of each corner they approached. It would be Walton in the lead who made the costly error, handing the lead back to Marius Barry-Berg. And at the next bend, Hugo Marti seized his chance to move ahead, almost in the same breath. With the rain now stopping, the drivers were gaining confidence in the surface, and with the track not becoming too wet, racing could continue at full pace. That was good news for Yetaro Sakai of Japan, but not for Roland Spruder of Latvia, who was out. Kowalczyk couldn't pass Biard and subsequently dropped behind Sakai and Panetta. But Panetta would duel with Kowalczyk again in the closing stages, as they both came under threat from Markus Šilkūnias of Lithuania. But after managing the tyres throughout the challenges of losing and then regaining the lead with a rain shower mid-race, Marius Barry-Berg held his nerve and kept his composure to win his first FIA final of 2023, with his rival Hugo Marti congratulating him on a convincing win. Marti will no doubt challenge again in Denmark, but for now, Barry-Berg is on top. Walton secured third ahead of Biard and Sakai, with Panetta rounding out the top six, and Šilkūnias, Kowalczyk and Haag ahead of Angola's Lorenzo Campos, who scored a top 10 finish on his debut. So the top three drivers on the podium may have finished where they started, but they all gave us a fascinating battle out on track, and a spectacular show at the steel ring that could translate into the season-long title battle. For Marius Barry-Berg, Hugo Marti and Max Walton, it's time to celebrate, steel ring style.
Well, the trainings were good. I was fast, but and then the qualifying and the two qualifying heats on Saturday was good, but in Sunday we had a little bit lack of pace, but I still got pole for the final. And when I saw the water drops on my visor, I was starting to get a little bit happy because I thought it was gonna start to rain, but then it didn't start to rain like fully. But I still had pretty good pace when it started to rain. I hope it will be good in Denmark. I like the track; it's pretty good, and I think we can have pace there too.
The trainings on Friday and Thursday was very difficult because in rain I was quite slow. But then when it started to get dry, the track, I started getting more pace and pace. The first hit of today, it was good, I win it, and then the final, I was starting in second place. And it was quite difficult because of the rain and that, but I think I am happy with the result.
First heat today, I was battling with Hugo and Marius. Hugo got away and had to try and save my tyre again as much as I could. So I came P3. In the final, from lap 1 I pushed every lap and tried to catch Marius, and I caught him, passed him. And then the rain came, then I hit the rubber strip and slid, then got passed by both of them, and then kept calm and went to the finish. Well, Denmark, hopefully I can learn the track as quick as I did this weekend, and I'm pretty confident about round 2.
Since the last weekend in Valencia, the OK-Junior field have stepped up the attack in the Czech Republic and dealt with high tyre degradation and tough elevation changes throughout. The battles have been physical, the tensions have been high, but it's finally time for the winner to emerge. Only 36 of the 77 entrants have made it to the final, and the man to beat is Oleksandr Bondarev from Ukraine, who has won every race he started so far this weekend. Britain's Lewis Werrell has been his closest opposition since qualifying and will never surrender the fight. There are outside challenges from Tibor Ramekers, who won in Spain, Dries van Langendonk, who has switched to Forza Racing, and the Paralin pair of Zach Drummond and Christian Castoya, provided they can keep up with the front row men. At the start, Bondarev made a good launch ahead of Ramekers and Werrell to head the pack up the hill for the first time, while Drummond passed Van Langendonk for fourth. But squeezing 36 hungry young racers into the first few corners at the steel ring isn't easy, and the two that were caught out in the concertina effect at the start were Elliot Kaczynski and Salim Hanna, with both drivers robbed of a chance to fight for the podium. Hanna did his best to recover, even removing Kaczynski's kart from his own. He would eventually rejoin to finish at the back, whilst Kaczynski wouldn't restart at all. Drummond was the first of the front runners to move forward as he battled with the Belgian Tibor Ramekers, but it was clear that the winner in Spain wasn't going to make it easy. But Drummond didn't back down, and the Paralin driver challenged again out of the compression, and he moved into third place, unlocking the potential he has demonstrated all season long. At the front of the race, the titanic grudge match began between Bondarev and Werrell, as the two racers traded sector times and fastest laps for the whole race, in the bid to make their opponent make a mistake. Kian Fardin and Marianito were locked in a sensational scrap with Kit Orlovsky and Mies Huben, and despite their proximity, they stayed on track. But sadly, the two Sodi teammates Filippo Sala and Scott Marsh were unable to avoid contact, and both retired from the race, making for an uneasy trip back to the team's awning. Werrell was trying every single move he could think of to pass Bondarev, but still he wouldn't falter. They were starting to pull clear of the battle for third, meaning that Drummond, Ramekers, Van Langendonk and the two Paralins of Jack Iliff and Christian Castoya would just have to do their best to keep up. With 6 laps to go, Werrell made his first major attempt to pass Bondarev, and he just wasn't close enough. Once again, there was the ominous threat of rain in the air, and as the mechanics tried to anticipate the conditions, would it be enough to unsettle the leaders? Lap after lap, Werrell tried to find the gap to pass the Czech Republic, but try as he might, there was just no room. On the final lap, he rolled the dice at the top of the hill, and just couldn't draw level enough to commit to the pass. He avoided the accident, but settled for second place. So after a nail-biting duel to the flag, it was Ukraine's Oleksandr Bondarev who stormed to the win in every single race he started. A year ago, he had been in a hospital bed with potentially career-ending injuries. But in 2023, the Phoenix has bounced back to challenge for the European crown in a fairy tale that just keeps getting better. Drummond would remain in third position with Ramekers ahead of Van Langendonk, Iliff and Castoya. Tiziano Monza would finish 8th ahead of Scott Lindblom and Kian Fardin. As Drummond and Werrell earned valiant places on the podium, there would be tears of joy and redemption on the rostrum for Oleksandr Bondarev, who has had such an emotional journey to reach his first win. The championship battle is now taking shape, with our podium finishers and Tibor Ramekers all in contention. And after such a great race, one thing is for certain: the Steel Ring party will go on all the way to Denmark.
Yeah, today was quite difficult. In the warm-up we already knew we were quite fast and we had a good chance for the day. Then the super heat, I had a lot of pressure from Zach, but I managed to finish P1. It was a 13-lap race. And then the final, a really long race, 21 laps, but I managed to stay in front. Lewis was behind me for most of the race, so I had to place the car in the middle of the circuit at some point. But yeah, managed to stay in front and I'm very happy.
Started second for the final. slotted into third on the start behind Alexander and Thibaut, and then I overtook Thibaut, and me and Alexander, we got a gap and then tried to go for him on like lap 12, I think. It didn't work, and then still at the whole race. Well, we know we've been fast throughout the year, so I didn't see why I can't do it again. And I'd like to thank my team for this weekend, everyone that supported me.
In the finals, I started P5. Didn't have the greatest of starts. Went round outside of Dries on the first corner, and then on lap 5 or 6, went for an overtake on Thibaut, who is very fast. And then after that, I managed the tyres to try and get the best of them at the end. And then Thibaut was right in my way for the whole race, so it was very difficult to keep in front of him. But managing my tyres really helped me towards the end of the race. I didn't have to defend too much in the last lap.
The race completely from the qualifying until the last lap in the final is really tough in this track. Very difficult technical track. No chance to make a little mistake. And that is the key probably of Sasha in the final, because you really drive without any mistake. That is the key to win in this track. I think that the checker flag in Cremona will decide which one will be the champion. Will be tough for Denmark and the next one, but even Cremona.
The premier direct drive category in the world, the OK class, is ready for a gripping final of 25 laps around the steel ring. With rain threatening to fall before the start, the teams are uncertain of the tactics to deploy. But with no rain falling, the teams prepare for action on fresh slick tyres, the first time they've driven on fresh rubber since qualifying. So far, the king of Friday and Saturday has been Gabriel Gomez, but Sunday's success has always eluded him. Today, he means to put it right. René Lammers lines up beside him with Thomas Stoltjemanis and Nathan Tai in close proximity, and Alex Powell an ever-present danger behind. But who can go the distance in the toughest race of the weekend? From pole, Gomez had no issues leading Stoltjemanis into turn 1, but the Latvian was committed to making the overtake up the hill. It didn't work, and he had to surrender. Gomez held the lead, and Stoltjemanis was lucky to continue. Others were not so fortunate, with Lucas Amalisto and David Walter off in the first bend, but both would rejoin. The European champion was duelling with the world champion, as Kian Nakamura-Berto tried to pass Matthias Morgato to no avail, and Guillaume Bouzard compounded Koski Motorsports' woes by retiring. Tai was already in jeopardy, as Ian Eichmans and Sebastiano Pavan were able to pass before the end of the opening lap. But it wouldn't be long before Pavan turned rogue and overtook Eichmans on the second lap of the race. Elsewhere, Finn McLaughlin was enjoying life as an OK driver and overtook Morgato, having watched Nakamura-Berta do the same. A lap later, he lined up a decisive move on Nathan Tai in the Sodi, and his overtake started a chain reaction that gave Joe Turney the chance to challenge Mark Dubnitsky. Could the comeback king really do it again? Morgato and Dubnitsky saw their chance to overhaul Tai and didn't hesitate, with Turney sneaking through in unison. It was turning into a nightmare for the Sodikart star, as his tyres were clearly not operating adequately to meet his needs. It was becoming horrendous as the laps continued, with Gustav Wisniewski and Matt Kolnagi also making their move. René Lammers was finding it tough to unlock the pace to challenge for second, and Alex Powell made his own bid for the podium. Then Miguel Costa went for the wildest move of the race. Whether it was impatience or a genuine mistake wasn't clear, but the gap didn't appear to pass Mark Dubnitsky, and the Estonian wasn't impressed. Just before half distance, Powell found the gap to pass Stoltjemanis, and he made a perfectly strong move. Sadly, his front fairing was loose, and he would later lose his second position regardless. Lammers worked hard to catch the Latvian and charged up the inside with 8 laps to go to grab third position, which would later become second. Having watched Lammers in the Parolin move ahead, Pavan decided he wanted to try the same trick, and despite a minute gap on the inside, he made it work, and into fourth he went, which would also be promoted to third. Eichmanns and McLaughlin entertained the crowds royally on the back straight in the closing stages. And there was more action coming from Jan Peszrowski, who struggled and then conceded defeat to Gazi Motlakar of Mozambique and Arthur Poulain of France. No love lost between teammates at Tonicar. Morgado was given the chance to redeem himself in the final couple of laps by passing McLaughlin, but he too would sadly receive a penalty, dropping him out of the top 10. Incredibly, Turney would pass him too, with the exact same outcome. McLaughlin wasn't content to lose out, however, and at the top of the crest, the Irishman returned the favour on the winner in Valencia, who wouldn't return to the winner's dais today. That honour had been reserved for Gabriel Gomez, who finally gave CRG the win he had been building up to with them in Europe for over 2 years. It was finally his moment, and the paddock would be queuing up after the flag to welcome the popular 16-year-old home. The glory was finally his, and as he toured home on the victory lap, it seemed the party had already started. And having scored 150 points out of a possible 162 this year, things are looking good for the brilliant Brazilian. Lammers and Pavan were promoted to second and third, as Powell was demoted to fourth, whilst Eichmanns came home ahead of McLaughlin and Nakamura Berta, with Dubnitsky scoring his best ever finish in front of Costa and Wisniewski. The fans were flocking to be part of the CRG celebrations on the podium, but the whole affair was a very happy one. Sebastiano Pavan had scored his first senior podium for the Tony Kart factory team, a high honour for any Italian. René Lammers had stamped his authority on the opposition as a sophomore senior, and now he's a title contender. But Gabriel Gomez had finally reached his potential and held it all together for a superb and flawless race weekend. Pole position and 7 race wins to conquer the steel ring and take the lead in the championship. Can anybody stop his march to the title?
Yes, it was a perfect week for us. We worked a lot to do this. I'm so happy we felt the work with the team. We already was so fast in the last race. Also in Valencia in the first round, we are so fast. We win every race, but in the final we do a little bit of mistakes and we go home, we study what is the problem and we know and we learn from this time. And now we do the perfect week as we can. It was perfect already from the qualifying pole position. We know the heats with the fastest laps, and now the heats win the super heat also with the fastest lap. And now in the final, win again with the fastest lap and more than 4 seconds of gap. I'm so happy with this.
Yeah, already looking from qualifying, we had Paul in our group. I think we were at the pace. Just in the final, we were lacking a bit. I don't know why. We'll figure that out later. But for sure, in the heats and super heat, we got some very good points in the championship, and I think we're still a championship contender.
The start was very good. I immediately went to P6, and after overtake, and went to P4, and after for a bumper penalty of another driver, I luckily get P3. I want to thank Tony Kart for the great work they made through the week and for the great chassis they gave to me.
Yes, we are happy to come back, and first of all, I'm very happy for Gabriel because finally he got the result that he deserved, and I'm very happy for the team. Every member makes a very good job, perfect, and it's very important for us. Now we just need to keep this pace for the next race. We need to enjoy, of course, this result, but also we must be focused onto the next one in Road B. We are in the right way. We don't stop, so we continue to work to improve every part and be perfect for the next and get and reach the goal.
The fabulous steel ring circuit has given us 3 very worthy race winners. Marius Barry-Berg has triumphed for Norway after a sensational race weekend of tense and exciting action in the academy. Oleksandr Bondarev has bounced back after a year of hard work and adversity to clinch the win in all 5 heats and the super heat before soaking up the pressure to win his first FIA final in OK-Junior. And Gabriel Gomez finally took the checkered flag after months of determination and sheer grit. Victory is a sweet reward for all the effort and commitment. And now the championship moves on to the next new venue on the calendar in Rødby in Denmark. As the celebrations begin at Czech Republic and CRG, the teams will pack up and move the travelling circus on to Scandinavia, where the FIA karting journey continues, and we take a step closer to crowning our 2023 champions.